Real estate agents, if you're constantly getting leads that just simply will not get on a phone call with you, will not respond to you, they constantly ghost you, and you can never close them because you never get the chance to talk with them, this video is for you. There's 3 common reasons I've seen for leads to be ghosting a real estate agent after working with 200 plus agents across the country and helping get thousands and thousands of different leads for them. There's common mistakes that I've seen. We're going to answer those, tell you how to fix them so that you can walk away understanding what you need to actually know to start getting these leads to convert at much higher rates and grow your business. If you don't know me, my name is Cole Jarvis. I run Jarvis Media Consolidated. We help real estate agents across the country, and we've gotten some pretty awesome results like what we've seen, what we showed down below here. So let's jump right into it. So first and foremost, the number one reason why, or the most common reason I should say, but usually not always the biggest reason for most folks, but the one that most agents struggle with, not always the hardest thing for agents to fix, is just simply volume. And what ends up happening is that a lot of real estate agents will learn about lead generation. They'll try these different strategies. They'll hire companies, whatever it might be. And that's great. It's a great start. And they'll get lead flow. And then they'll call them once, maybe twice in like a week. And they don't pick up and they say, oh, these are terrible leads. Like all these leads are terrible. Let me tell you right now, you need to stop blaming the leads, right? A lead is simply somebody who you can reach out to, right? And has expressed some level of interest in your offer. That's a qualified lead. But generally speaking, usually folks are not struggling with getting qualified leads if they're doing one of the many different ways to get lead generation. Usually it's actually just that they don't have nearly enough volume. And you have to think about it this way, is that there are a million things going on in people's lives, and there's a million different reasons why somebody would not respond to you, one of which is that they don't actually want to hear from you. Only one of them. And there's a million other reasons that they could still want to hear from you. They could still need your services. They could still know, like, and trust you, but simply they just were not able to respond to you at that moment. So if you're responding, if you're calling the lead twice ever, and then you're giving up on the lead, which a lot of agents do, I think the stat is 50% of real estate leads are just not contacted anyway, then you're dropping the ball massively. And it's not a lead gen problem. What it actually is just a volume problem. Your volume of follow-up is simply too low. And let me drive this home with an example here. So we've run a lot of different lead generation campaigns for a lot of different agents. And what we would do is we would run Facebook lead form ads. We'd make sure to qualify based off of income and timeline and all that kind of stuff to find folks who are ready to buy or sell in the near future and that had their appropriate income and that also that they acknowledge that, yes, I'm looking to buy or sell. And we generate a ton of leads that way for a lot of different agents. But what I commonly saw is that a lot of agents had difficulty closing those leads. And I went through a whole thing where I was like, man, are these leads terrible? Is everything I'm doing wrong? Has everything I've learned over 5 plus years of running ads and working at Facebook and working at Coldwell Banker and all of this stuff, has my entire life been a lie? It turns out no. And what I would notice is that the agents who had a really good follow-up system would see great results. And I'll give you an example of one of my favorite ones, which is Imran. He's based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And Imran, if I could actually maybe spell his name a little bit better here, Imran had an amazing strategy, and it worked so well in the first 3 first month, first 30 days of working together. Imran not only did much better than most agents, but he got 3 conversions. So he got 3 clients out of 3 transactions out of the actual leads that we had generated for him. And I was like, man, Imran, what? I called him up. I was like, hey, can I ask you about like what your follow-up is? He said, yeah, sure, because he's an awesome guy. I called him up and I said, hey, like Imran, what is the strategy here? Like I need to know because I help a lot of agents and nobody is converting within 30 days the first 3 leads that we've sent them. Like, what are you doing differently? And he said, oh, yeah, okay, it's super simple. So I have a VA, and their entire job is to call the lead twice in the first 3 days. So the first 3 days, they would call 2 times per day. So like one like the morning, one in like the afternoon or evening. And then I would also have daily texts and daily emails. I was like, oh, wow, that's like super cool. So you'd call for the first, 2 times a day for the first 3 days. You'd call and you'd text once a day and you email once a day. Like, okay, like, yeah, that's definitely more than what a lot of people are doing. And he's like, yeah. And then we would call one more time every single day and continue to email and text message them every single day for another 8 weeks before we stopped. And I was like, Oh my God. Okay, so you would call these leads twice a day in the first 3 days, and then after that, you would continue to call them every single day for 8 weeks. And he said, yep, that's what we did. That's how we make sure that we get enough volume. And on top of that, we have text messages and emails going out from the VA. Also, messages whenever he was quite busy with a lot of clients, and that's why he had the VA. So don't use the VA thing as an excuse because, he did that before he had a VA just himself. And then once it made sense for him, because he was working a lot of clients to get the VA to do it, then he brought in a VA. So like you can do this yourself. But he would also reach out whenever he got the chance to the lead to just try and strike up a conversation. And then on top of that, we had a system where we were automatically following up with the lead for him. So in reality, he's doing a ton of volume. And then on top of that, he was reaching out with one call and email and text per day for 8 weeks after that, before he basically put it into his his nurture sequence, right? Or just put it in a database before they stopped actively pursuing those leads, right? So that is insane. So on top of that, he also had, again, him reaching out, and of course our system, which was reaching out with a text message and email basically once a day for a couple weeks. And so what he really had, just if you're just looking at what the VA was doing, his primary force for following up with these folks, then in the first 3 days, he would call them 6 times. They would be called 6 times, and they would get 3 emails and 3 text messages. So that is 9 touch points in the first 3 days. And then after that, they'd have 3 times 8 is 24 more touch points over the next 8 weeks. Like, that is insane. So that's 34 total touch points. And again, the big thing there is that it was daily. And the reason why this is so powerful is because there are other reasons why leads won't convert. And don't get me wrong, there are other reasons why leads won't convert, and we'll talk about some of those, or won't pick up or whatever. But what he did was he made it so that one reason being enough volume wasn't a constraint. Volume for him was not a constraint because he had 34 touch points in 8 weeks, right? If somebody, you call a lead when they come through, when their information comes through. Ideally, you're doing that as soon as possible. Speed to lead is massively helpful there. But on top of that, not even considering that, if you call somebody, whenever you see that lead come up, maybe they're at their day job, because guess what? Most people buying or selling a home, they have day jobs. So you're calling a lead, and they're probably, if it's during the main part of the day, they're probably at their job, and a lot of people can't pick up their phone if they're at their job, right? Two, you might be calling them after hours. Maybe they're with dinner, or they work really hard and they finally have family time, and they don't pick up phone calls during family time. I totally understand that. Three, maybe they see that you're calling and they're like, oh, I don't recognize this number and I don't want to pick up. But here's the thing though, is that you reduce the chances of that being the case if you call them multiple times. Eventually, if they remember that that's the same number, they might be like, okay, I'm going to pick up just to see what this number is about. And then you say, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I am actually looking to buy or sell. Maybe you can help me with these things. In reality, it's we just get so accustomed to, the idea that lead generation is going to solve all the problems with business is we forget completely that lead nurturing is another thing, or that somebody cannot move forward if they don't have the chance to talk to you. And people oftentimes don't like to pick up the phone. So if you're not texting and emailing leads, you need to be doing that immediately. But then on top of that, even if you text them and you email them, a lot of times people aren't going to see the email. Your email might be going to the promotions tab, or might be going to the spam folder. That's a whole different conversation about how to optimize your emails, make sure it's going to the right places. There's a million reasons, but by making sure he had 3 different channels that were constantly following up and that didn't let off the gas for 8 weeks, is that he just made it so that volume was not the reason that a lead would not get in touch with him. And what's crazy, and I've talked about this in other videos, is that 80% of buyers or sellers end up working with the first agent that they speak with, that they have a real conversation with. about their home, right? So like you don't really have to even sell too crazily. You just need to have enough marketing tactics and enough lead nurture and follow up to make sure that you reduce the fact that volume itself could just be a reason that these leads aren't picking up. They could be the best leads in the world, but if you only call them once and they never pick up the phone at work, then guess what? They're not going to end up ever becoming an actual client for you, right? So you need to reduce the amount of things that can go wrong with a lead actually ending up working with you. And volume is the most common mistake. It's not always the biggest mistake, but it is the most common mistake. It might be the biggest mistake. I don't have the data for that, but I see that being a constant issue and what most agents are just simply not doing enough of. That is the biggest thing. And by the way, I work with a lot of agents who have really big teams, like 30, 50 people teams. And the biggest thing that they tell people all the time is like, hey, you just have to make the calls. You have to do that. Like if you don't do that, you're just reducing the chance that you're going to be successful. So you spend all this time and money and effort and strain trying to grow this business when in reality your hands are tied behind your back because you're just not calling the leads enough. So that's a massive thing, right? And just keep in mind too, is that when you call 10 people in a day, it feels like you are just like bombarding people. But that's because you are calling people 10 people a day, but they're only getting a phone call once from you. Like that's not harassing them. They inquired. If they're inbound leads, they inquired to talk with you. So like you're not harassing them, right? And so every once in a while people will pick up and they'll say like, oh, like, you know, how did you get my number or whatever kind of stuff like that. And I'll talk about how to fix that. But the issue there is most importantly that you're just simply not doing enough volume, right? Which will bring us to issue number 2, which is, and I've seen this before quite a lot as well, which is right place, wrong time. So obviously, in terms of like getting a time where like the person's able to talk, that is a volume thing. Now, when we say right place, wrong time, what we mean is that like they are a lead, they're a quality lead, as in like they expressed interest, they're interested in buying or selling in your market, and like they interacted with you, but they're not ready to buy or sell right now. So the issue with this is that a lot of times people don't feel like they want to talk to a real estate agent until they're like 100% ready to buy or sell. But guess what? Buying or selling a home is a massive decision. There's a lot of thinking into it. There's a lot of like planning that goes into it. But here's the thing, and most agents, you would know that you can actually help them with this process. And you can help them before they're like, they have all their funds ready and they have a loan and they're pre-approved. I can't tell you how many times agents say, oh, you need to be pre-approved before you call an agent. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you as the agent should be trying to help this person in the entire journey of buying or selling a home, and that involves pre-approval. A lot of people don't understand who they should go to or how they should go about it or what kind of loan they should use. And like you might be like, oh, well, that's not really my business to talk about. Like the loan person is somebody who would be better suited for that. Yes, but you're kind of like the general manager for their home experience. You're the person who's going to kind of call the shots and make the entire play, throughout the whole timeline from when they're first interested in buying or selling to when they actually close, right? And so you need to help them along that. And then you can bring in specialists like the home inspector when they're looking at a home, or the mortgage person. And by the way, you can form contacts and people who you really like in the market who are great, and then of course use those people as constant vendors that they have great track records, they do great work for your clients, they make it more likely your client is going to have a successful close. So at the end of the day, it's like you want to have those people anyway, and if you give them business, they're more likely to give you business. So that's a huge way to even just open up a channel by making sure that you're talking to people even though they're not ready to buy or sell right now. Because again, a lot of people will do research, they might respond to an ad, they might reach out to you or give you a call or whatever it might be before they're totally ready to buy or sell right now. So a lot of agents will call those leads and they'll be like, hey, I saw you were interested in buying or selling a home. And they might be like, oh, I'm not ready to talk about this. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to actually go through this because like, I'm probably 3-4 months out from buying or selling a home, right? And that might be even longer. Maybe that's shorter. Maybe they don't realize that they're actually more ready than they think they are. But that's okay because you're the expert. You're the one to guide them through that stuff. So yeah, if you want to just target people who are ready to buy or sell tomorrow and have all their ducks in a row so that it's the easiest job for you possible, you can do that. You're just going to get 1 out of 10,000 people who are in that situation. Because the fact that like they're ready to go and they don't already have a realtor in mind, or they don't already have like a friend or relative with a license, like that's going to end up being tricky. That they're perfectly ready to go and I haven't talked to anybody else yet. Like we're talking about threading a needle. That circumstance is very, very rare. And yet all these agents say, I just want to find the leads who are ready to buy or sell immediately. And the problem is it's like, yeah, those are out there. It just doesn't make sense because if you want to target those people, it's going to be so difficult. You're going to end up spending if you're running paid ads, you're going to spend so much to find and qualify like exactly those leads who just aren't ready to buy or sell in like a couple weeks, but like, no, they're ready to buy or sell right now. It's just finding a piece like or a needle in a haystack, right? It's just very difficult and it's going to reduce the opportunities you have to get more business and to grow. So you want to find people who are interested, who are qualified leads, who like you, or who, depending on how they come into your funnel, but they're quality leads. They just might not be ready to buy or sell just this moment, and you can help them out. And a great way to help to do that is by having a better offer. So a lot of agents don't even have really any kind of creative offer in their systems. They simply just be like, are saying, hey, I saw you were interested in buying a home. Like, can I show you some properties or can I do whatever? And what you're doing is you're commoditizing your service. You're only providing basically you're showcasing that your expertise is the same as any other agents out there. Because guess what? Any other agent can pull up the MLS and just show them some properties that are 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom homes in this zip code or in this school district. That's not difficult to do. Everybody can do that. So if that's your offer to folks, then yeah, you're going to end up not really getting very far because again, there's no reason for them to choose you over anybody else. And most people know or have a friend who knows a real estate agent who actually has some trust built in because they can refer them. That's also why referral rates are so high in real estate, not because referrals are so magical. They're helpful, they're great, but they're not more magical than any other marketing funnel. It's just that everyone has such bad marketing that they have no other way to reliably get clients or they don't know how to convert clients. And that would come down to your offer. As an example here, here's how creative you can really get with your offer. If you start to put out ads, let's say, and you just say like, hey, if you're ready to buy or sell a home, work with me. Again, there's just nothing compelling there because there's nothing you're really providing to folks other than saying that you're an agent and getting the visibility from ads, which is helpful. It's just not great. It's not a great system. So instead, what you can do is an offer, and here's like a version of one of my favorite offers, right? And this is a little bit more advanced. So actually, I'll keep it a little bit more entry level. So here's the 101 offer, right? That's like a decent offer, right? Hey, my name is John. I'm a local real estate agent. I do free home evaluations and give you a strategy so that whenever you're ready to buy or sell, could be 3 years from now, you kind of have an idea of what things that you should do. Or I'll make a roadmap for you about like what improvements you can make to sell for the highest price. Or I'll give you an idea, I'll give you a strategy so that you can make sure you get into the home of your dreams in a couple of years. Now, here's what's crazy. In that, what you're doing is you're not offering your services as a real estate agent. You're offering a free strategy, I'd probably avoid consultation because a lot of agents say consultation, but it's really just them pitching their normal work. But I would basically package the offer as something that's a one-time free beneficial thing. Like I'll come into your host and I'll give you all the top tips that like the best homes are selling for right now so that you just know, so whenever you're ready to buy or sell, you're ready to go. What that does is it eliminates the whole, oh, I'm only gonna speak to an agent when I'm ready to buy or sell immediately. Because what it does is it says like, hey, like this is a strategy that can be helpful for you if you buy or sell in 3 years or if you buy or sell next week. Like it really doesn't matter. It's helpful either way to get my expert opinion on your home or my expert opinion on your goals for your house so that you have that for whenever you're ready. And it's free, it doesn't cost a thing. I'll come in and I'll meet you and I'll just kind of give you like a strategy that I've seen work really well with buyers or sellers. And that's nice. So like you can say like a free strategy. Again, I wouldn't use the word consultation, but I'd say maybe free strategy or even like roadmap uh, to basically to buy/sell. And in your offer, like in your ad or in your organic content or in your emails, whatever you're doing, you can even say like, and this is really helpful for people who are years out from buying or selling, because at the end of the day, you don't know, there could be things that, that take a lot of time to fix, or things that you need to save up for renovations that are actually going to make your home like infinitely more valuable for the market. Right. And so you can actually put that into the offer that like, this is really great if you're not quite ready yet, but you know you're going to be in the near future. So you can actually completely get around the whole I'm not ready to buy or sell right now, and you can actually make that a feature, not a bug of this offer. Be like, oh, you're not ready to buy or sell right now? That's perfect, because honestly, a lot of these recommendations are going to take a little bit of time to implement, so this is going to be even better for you. And again, it's free, so like, would you be opposed to getting this free thing that's going to help you whenever you're ready to buy or sell? No? Okay, cool. Let's move forward. Like, it's an easier sell than, but let me be your agent, right? Which is just, jumping into marriage, like after on the first date. So that's really helpful. And again, what's really cool about this is you might find that like people think that they can't buy or sell a home, but you might know about programs that can help them. And you can even say like, hey, like I know you feel like you think you need to be making like your promotion or be making more or whatever in like your job, but like actually you're ready to buy or sell like the kind of home that you're describing right now is actually like you're ready to do that right now if you want to. I could show you how to do that if you're not opposed. And like that's a conversation you'd have on that conversation, on that meeting, on that strategy or roadmap, meeting, to basically be like, oh, you're actually way farther along than you think. Like, can I show you how, like, what you might be able to get or where you might be able to go? Or actually, I know you think your house needs all these renovations, but like, really, it could be great right now. I'll give you a great example. So when my mom decided that she wanted to, move out of the house that was, a house that like my sister and I grew up in, just a lot of room for her. She didn't really need all that room at that point, and she was like, "Well, I think I'm gonna rent this out." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, very cool. Like that's totally possible. Like let's kind of get that ball rolling for you." And she was like, well, I need to make all these repairs. And I was like, I don't think that's the case. And so she had like a door replaced. She had like some landscaping stuff. She, fixed some stairs that were a little bit creaky. None of these things increased the value of the property for a rental, and a lot of those things wouldn't have increased the property for selling the house, but she just felt like she needed to do that. And what we found was that like in reality, that wouldn't have actually made any kind of a difference at all. So a lot of times people think that they need to do stuff that they don't actually need to do, and you as the real estate expert in your market can guide them through that process. However, if you just pitch yourself working with them as an agent, they think that they need to be perfectly ready and they haven't done all this stuff. But instead you pitch them to be this free strategy slash roadmap session, you get in the door to help them and actually learn more about their situation. And then guess what? They might realize like, oh, actually we can do now. Great. Well, you're a real estate agent. You're right here. You know our situation. Like, what would it look like for us to work together? Or even if it is later, well, guess what? You're basically pocketing that client for later on because, again, you know the situation. And as long as you're good about your nurturing and your feedback, and there's plenty of other things that you can help them with along the way. You can even just be like, hey, you know what? Normally I charge for this, but like, I like you guys. You seem really cool. And I think that you'd probably be able to get these things done sooner than possible. Like, how about I just stop in like, or, like once a month, like as you get these things done, kind of give my feedback so that you know you're on the right track and that you just don't have any questions there. Like, that's perfect because you're offering a service for free that, by the way, a lot of agents basically already do anyway for their clients. So that's a great version of making an offer that can kind of get around this, like, oh, I need to be perfectly ready to buy or sell before I talk with an agent. And like a 201 version of this, something that I really like is, hey, I'm going to show you, or I'm going to make a course, or I'm going to show you how to buy or sell without an agent. And this is one of my favorite things because basically you're saying like, hey, like agents cost money and like the expertise is worth it for a lot of people, but some people want to buy or sell their home themselves. So I'm gonna actually just show you, it doesn't cost anything. I'll sit down with you for like an hour meeting. I'll show you all the things that you need to know so that you can just do this yourself and you don't have to pay an agent. Does that sound fair enough? And basically what happens there is you have a conversation with somebody who is ready to buy or sell, who loves the idea of saving money on the commission. And then once you have that meeting, guess what? You show them like, oh, well, here's the, the renovations to sell your home that you might need to do. Here is like, the legal stuff that you need to be aware of if you're going to sell your house yourself. Here is kind of the process and basically how to market all of this stuff. Here is how you have to negotiate. here's what the escrow process is going to look like. Here's kind of like the timeline here. Here's the common pitfalls that people run into. And then like what ends up happening is like you're sharing all this valuable information on a one-on-one meeting so that they can be ready to buy or sell. And so often that ends up having like a situation where they're like, you know what? I just want you to do it. Like, can we work together? Like, you are an expert in this. You know my situation. Like, let's move forward, right? And so many times that happens. And by the way, even if it doesn't happen, well, guess what? You can still, oftentimes, they still need like that, that loan officer. They still need that like inspector. Maybe you can still get benefit from your other vendors, which encourages them to help you. Whenever they find people who might need a buyer or seller. Or you might even also just have a situation where, again, they just say, like, yeah, like, I want to work with you. Like, I understand, like, all this process now. I don't want to deal with it. I want to make sure I have it done right. I want you to do it. It happens way more frequently than you think. Just because you offer something for free and how to do this thing by themselves doesn't mean that they're going to, once they know what the process looks like, doesn't mean that they're going to actually want to do it, right? And so that is a great, a great couple of examples of offers, and there's a million ones that you can do that can basically get around the whole issue of, buying or selling. And sorry, I'm getting this call here, but okay, sorry about that. So there's a lot of great ways you can get an offer in there that gets people in the door so you can further the conversation and the relationship so that this issue doesn't come up anymore. And so lastly, we have the third reason that leads are ghosting you, which is incorrect targeting. Now, again, this happens less often than what a lot of people think, and it's also different from what a lot of people think. Because a lot of people think like when they're not getting good leads, they think, oh, like these are, or when they're not converting leads, they think they're bad leads. They try it out on Facebook and they say like, oh, it's a platform issue. Like, oh, Facebook ads don't work, or Google doesn't work, or YouTube doesn't work, or TikTok doesn't work. It's like these are just platforms that get you in front of people. They work. Like I will find you an agent that has been successful in snail mail, in cold email, in inbound, warm email, in cold calling, in YouTube, organic, in paid ads on Google, paid ads on Meta, Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest. Like you can find agents who have seen success anywhere. So it's not the platform that's stopping you. It's that you've tried something for a week and then you just haven't seen results yet because things take time to become better at them, obviously. And so what ends up happening is you give up because you think, oh, well, this thing doesn't let me get in front of the right leads. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with agents where they say, Facebook leads just don't work. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I find an agent in their market who's making more money with them, doing only that form of marketing. And I say, well, what's their excuse? Like, why are they able to make it work? It's just not an issue. So it's not that you're getting bad leads necessarily. It's not that it's the platform necessarily. Really what's happening is that oftentimes you're incorrectly targeting because your offer or what your actual thing is, your lead magnet for that lead is just not aligned with your service. So I'll give you an example here. If you're doing like, oh, I'm doing this free giveaway for let's just say a MacBook, right? Or something like that. A MacBook or like, a gift card or whatever. And by the way, agents have made this work too, which is just kind of funny. But like, I'll tell you what the problem with it, right? You say, oh, I'm doing this free giveaway for a MacBook / gift card. Like, just give me your information, and then you'll be entered to win this, whatever the sweepstakes or whatever. There's a lot of legal things about giveaways, but like basically, that's the whole thing. And then what happens is you go ahead and send that through. And that what happens is you have the free giveaway or MacBook or gift card, whatever. You do the raffle, somebody wins, and then you're like, cool, like I bought a MacBook and it got me, 1,000 leads. Like that's a really great return. It's like $1 per lead. Okay, great. Well, here's the problem is that what is the intent of somebody to join this? Well, the intent is that they wanted the MacBook. So they gave you their email. And then, by the way, as soon as they don't win, or even the person who does win, right? As soon as that giveaway has happened, well, then guess what? There's no intent anymore. They haven't won the thing. So oftentimes people will unsubscribe, or they'll just block, or they'll ignore. And why? It's because the lead wasn't ever a qualified lead. A lead is simply somebody that you can contact, right? But they didn't have any sort of level of qualification. And you can still win with this kind of a strategy through just sheer numbers. It's just oftentimes not the best use of your time when you can have better giveaways that make more sense. Like even something like instead of like a MacBook gift card, be like a home renovation giveaway where you give them away like some things that are going to be particularly helpful for your market for home renovation. That's a better version of a giveaway for an offer, but it's still, again, your intent there is all based around somebody getting something for free, not that they're actually looking to buy or sell, or that they're even qualified to buy or sell a home. So it's not that the leads are bad, it's that the leads are good. It's just they're good for a system that is not in line with what you're looking to accomplish, right? So people try this kind of stuff and they say, oh, the platform doesn't work, or, I don't understand like why they wouldn't want to, they didn't win this free MacBook, and now I'm trying to ask them if they're ready to buy or sell a home, and this 14-year-old who, logged in or whatever, said no, like I'm not interested. It's like, well, I don't know why that's the case. Well, obviously your 14-year-old, that they're not gonna buy or sell a home anytime soon. So that's the issue, is that it's not that the placement is wrong with your targeting, it's that your offer is wrong. And a lot of people end up doing this and they don't understand what the issue is. And it's really just that not every lead is made equal. There's a different level of qualification for leads. That's why I always say in my videos where I talk about like Facebook ads, you want to disqualify leads just as much as you are qualifying other leads, right? It's the same basic thing, two sides of the same coin, is that you want to get the people who it's not worth your time to follow up with. You want to get them out of there so that you can focus all your time on doing the crazy follow-up like we talked about with Imran. So because you can't call, people 3 times or 2 times in the first 3 days and then 1 time every single day for 8 weeks after that. You can't do that with 300 people. Right? You just can't physically get that done. And so what you need to do is prioritize quality leads so that you make sure that your offer is more in line with the people who are actually going to be benefiting. And that's why the offer 101 here is like a free strategy / roadmap to buying or selling. Because if somebody's not buying or selling, they're not going to find value in that. So they won't become a lead, which is good. Or, teaching people how to buy or sell without an agent, that's not applicable to anybody who's not looking to buy or sell a home. So that is the automatic qualification is built into that system. And that's why those leads are qualified leads and they're not just simply random numbers or lists that you've cold, scraped or whatever. And again, you can make that work. It's just oftentimes it's not worth it for your time when there are so many ways to get qualified leads with the same amount of effort. And you get less leads, but they're more qualified, which is good on 2 fronts. One, because you're no longer wasting time on bad leads that are never going to convert anyway. And 2, because you have, again, just higher likelihood of closing them as long as you have good systems in place. So, if you really, first and foremost, volume, if you get any leads, you have to have enough volume to make sure that volume is not the constraint. That's not the reason why people are not actually getting in contact with you. You need to make sure the offer is good enough so that there's actually incentive for somebody to work for you. And so you're not just targeting such a small group of people who likely already have a real estate agent, but instead you're opening it up to people who are still qualified leads, but at a timeline where you can be more competitive because you can get in the door before most agents even care to. You can win the lead, you win the transaction before a lot of agents are even trying to compete with those leads. And that's a major advantage you can have if you can just be a little patient. And then again, number 3, you're making sure you're spending your time and effort, your resources accordingly so that you're not wasting your time on bad leads and you're just prioritizing only good leads. So guys, I hope that was helpful and I will see you on the next video.